That's so cool. Yes.
Go.
Driver shortages are a real problem.
Pay the drivers more. Now they can go work for Walmart. Prices are going up.
I would agree with you wholeheartedly, but
Of course, there's going to be change. Anyway,
and
cheers. Hey everybody, this is Ben Heller. I'm with James Speirs, and this is Global Mobility Uncensored. James, how you doing today?
I am all the better for seeing you, Ben.
Oh, you're delightful. What are we talking about today?
Ben, you know what? I came across, it's an old problem in the US, a new problem in the UK, but I read an article on the driver shortages that we have here. So I thought maybe we could spend a minute just giving our views on that.
Okay. Well, let's give you a minute. James, the minute's on the clock. Ready? Go.
So in my experience, I've been working with household goods, international and US domestic for probably over 10 years now. And I know that the US domestic driver shortage has been something that's been increasingly spoken about over the last 10 years. And when I first came into it, I have to ask forgiveness, anybody watching this in the US domestic household goods plane. I just thought it was a large bit of this, we're trying to drive up the costs. And now it's landed here. And the reasons over the past and what I learned in the US and what's coming available today in the UK, I can see it happening. We've spoken in the past about different things that happen and come in that, I'm very interested in what they're doing, self-driving technology, and when that comes into this and starts addressing the problem. And we both agreed that that's a long-term goal as opposed to a short-term goal. Mm-hmm. But the one thing that's become very plain to me is driver shortages are a real problem. And, where it's come into play in the US, it's happened very gradually. Where it's happened with the UK, it's a Brexit problem compounded with the pandemic. Yep. And suddenly we've got a shortage in drivers. Is it going to impact cost? Yeah, I think it will impact cost. How do we address that? I don't know. There's been no surefire way of answering in the US, and I don't think there's any short-term way of answering the question in the UK.
I think there is an answer, and it's pay the drivers more. I have a slightly different view on this. Truck drivers in the US have made less every single year for the past 15, 20 years. And it's a challenge with modern supply chain management. There's a constant negative pressure on pricing that goes and impacts the bottom of the supply chain in every industry. But it also happened in moving, where drivers and packers were making very little compared to other industries where they could go and their skills were highly transferable. They can go work for Walmart or Amazon, where they're doing the same route every day and they're making nearly six-figure salaries. I've seen that drivers in our industry, the prices are going up, the salaries are going up. I personally, I think it's a good thing. I think it's overdue. And while sure, that's going to increase pricing a little bit, I think we're seeing inflationary pressure all over our industry, all over like every industry. And I'm kind of happy that the drivers are finally getting a little more pay. It seems like the right thing to do.
I would agree with you wholeheartedly, but and I just have to say it because it's out there. Being a buyer and trying to meet a client's requirements on meeting a cost point, I agree. The bottom of the supply chain needs to be kept sustainable. Is it sustainable keeping it sustainable? Are we going to move forward and change the way we do things because it's not meeting the cost point of what people are willing to pay for?
Of course, there's going to be change. We live in a world that's constantly changing. And so if prices for household goods rise at a rate beyond the alternatives to shipping people's stuff there, well, then the household good industry as a whole is going to see it decline. But in general, I think that there's inflationary pressures on almost every silo within global mobility, and again, I'm kind of happy that drivers are going to be making a little bit more money, even though we cold-hearted procurement folks want to see the prices go down all the time, don't we? Anyway.
Well, no, I believe the price needs to be right, and keeping it sustainable and making sure that there's an industry there to carry on. If we need to increase the drivers' rates and their pay to make that happen, then it needs to happen. I think I'd speak to our audience and say, especially in the movie industry, what are you doing? And even from the corporate industry, understanding that you are making the bottom of the supply chain more sustainable, are you willing to pay that little bit extra? How are you addressing the driver shortages in your respective locations?
Yeah, I would love to hear about it. So if you out there have a comment, please drop a comment in the link below. But James, I think that's all the time we have for today. On behalf of James, I'm Ben Heller. Thanks for watching Global Mobility Uncensored. We'll see you soon. Cheers.
Take care.